Hello everybody, welcome to the Lighthouse channel. My name is Coach Jessica. Today my uke is Dejan. And today we're going to go over our basic submissions for beginners in no gi. The first submission we're going to go over today is a part of our series. Since we just went into mount, we are now going to do the Americana from mount. So let's say we have now just successfully passed into mount on our opponent, and they're blocking because they know we're ready to start our attacks, and we are in this position. We've gotten our, if we're competing, we've gotten our 4 points, 3 seconds, 4 points, or if not, we've just stabilized our opponent. One thing that's kind of important is not to go for attacks before you know you have your opponent pinned. What I like to do is I like to squeeze my knees into their shoulders to kind of keep everything immobilized, and then I'll also pinch their hips with my feet. If you have longer legs, you'd probably see it be going under. So oftentimes this is the initial way to defend anything. Once you're getting mount, you cover your face. So if I'm going to attack an Americana, what I do is I take the top hand and I grab the wrist. I'm not grabbing it like this, I'm just doing a nice little C. Then I'm going to take the other hand and do the same thing. Now I'm going to use my body weight to push this to the ground, and then I'm going to get my forehead onto my hand as I drop my elbow on the other side of his neck. The reason I have my forehead on my hand is to pin his hand, because Dejan is stronger than me and he could try to flex out of this, so I really got to keep this hand pinned to the ground, and then I'm creating this wedge so he can't see what I'm doing. I don't want him to look at me. I'm going to now take my free arm. One thing that's important here, guys, is have a good base. I'm not super stiff, because if I was very stiff right now, I could be easily swept. I'm slightly relaxed. All my weight's melting on him, and I'm waiting for him to move, if anything, and making sure we're stable. I'm going to take this free arm and swim it under his arm, behind his elbow, this way to me. So not like this, here. And now I'm going to grab my own wrist and replace my head again. This is a trick I've had to do because of being smaller, and I figure even if you're big, why not? So we have our head on the wrist. Now what I need to do is slightly shift my body so that I'm at an angle. And the reason I do this is this knee is up in here blocking him from scooting that way. My foot's blocking his hip. This leg's blocking this hip, and I have this arm. Now here's the trick for the Americana I found. I have to try to pull this arm towards that wall over there to pull it out of the socket slightly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull his arm that direction. I'm trying to take this arm and remove it slightly from the socket by pulling it out. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna gently, now that the arm is removed from the socket, trace his hand on the mat towards my leg while lifting his elbow. And that's it. And the reason why I like to pull the arm out is sometimes, people, when their arm is in, they have the ability to really come far, but if you pull it out, notice I can no longer bend. It's a biomechanical trick. So again, we've gotten into our mount, our opponent's blocking. We're gonna get the wrist, lean on him, create our wedge, and put my head there. Now I'm gonna take this hand, swim under, grab my own wrist, and replace. Now I'm gonna shift my body weight slightly. I moved this knee back, this knee up, keep everything tight, and slightly pull the arm out of the socket. Now you're gonna gently paint the floor with his wrist while lifting the elbow. Notice how slow I did that, guys. The reason why is because when you're doing an Americana on somebody, essentially the goal is to take the bone and tear the labrum against itself. So if you tear it on somebody, you might tear your teammate's labrum. If you break your toys, you can't play. So be nice, okay? Focus more on control so that you don't have to do so much of a movement. So again, I'm forcing the arms up with my knees, grabbing that top hand, using my body weight. I'm not pushing. I'm using my body weight to mount him to the floor, using my elbow so he does not look at me. Forehead to pin, especially if he's a big buckaroonie. Swim under the arm. Slightly move the forehead to grab your own wrists and put it back. Shift my weight. Pull the joint out of the socket, and now gently paint, and there you go. So again, guys, be careful with your opponent's shoulders, but this is a really great submission from mount. Thank you so much, and thank you guys for watching.